Hello, my name is Madison Midkiff, and I am from Lincoln County, West Virginia. I will be obtaining in May a business administration's degree with concentrations in accounting and marketing, as well as a forensic accounting certificate. I did this because I went initially into accounting, and then to be able to obtain the ability to sit for the CPA exam, you have to have a master's degree or you have to have 150 credit hours. So once I finished my accounting degree and I also did the forensic accounting certificate, I realized that I could do marketing and get that as a concentration as well and still be within my 150 hours and do it within 4 years. Now, I did take a lot of credits during each of the last few semesters, but I like it, and I really like the marketing classes. I think they help me better understand why we need marketing and why there is such a large budget for it in accounting, because normally we just think, oh, they're just advertising the business, they're just advertising the product, whatever it is, but it really does have a lot to do with how you're going to get customers in, and there's a lot of different techniques, and it really does show why it is needed. I've worked 3.5+ years now at a heating, cooling / plumbing local company where I work in the accounting department. I've dabbled in accounts payable, accounts receivable, as well as worked with payroll. I would say my favorite part is probably more of the accounts receivable, accounts payable. I do like the payroll part, but people are not as nice when you mess up with their money, that's for sure. So my dream job, I would like to stay in Charleston. I'm from Lincoln County and I plan to live in Lincoln County, but I'm getting married in November and my fiance lives in Kanawha County, but he is going to work at the Guard in Charleston. So we want to stay local. We're going to live in Lincoln County, but I want a local job like in Charleston, or if I can get one in Lincoln County, anything doing more of like accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll. I really like those kind of things. Doing mostly like, even with accounting, you could do more like bank recs, you could do things like that. Anything like that would be nice. I'd really like to stay at the company I'm at now, but if they didn't want to, I understand. But that would be nice, and just to get more job opportunities there, like just to kind of climb up from what I'm doing now, because I am working part-time, so it would be nice to work full-time there and be able to do more of the payroll and accounts payable, because I mostly just work with accounts receivable right now. Something that I read about recently that has to do with international, not management, but also kind of management, because they didn't really follow what they were supposed to do, is I read on AP News, Hino Motors, which is part of Toyota, just pled guilty to a $1.6 billion settlement due to emissions fraud scheme. The company admitted to falsifying to engine emissions and fuel consumption data, allowing it to import and sell more than 110,000 diesel engines in the U.S. between 2010 and 2022. Part of the settlement, Hino has to pay $521.76 million in criminal fees and serve up to a 5-year probation due to its prohibition in importing diesel engines into the U.S. and implementing comprehensive compliance and ethics program. So really what this taught me is, like, even though they are making a lot of money here and they were doing stuff, you have to make sure that when you're working with international companies that you know what is right and what is wrong to do there. You can't be doing things just because it is right in your country. You have to really look into their guidelines, make sure that you're following the things correctly, because if you're not, this same thing could happen. You could not know, like, oh, I can't do this. Like, they were selling emissions fraud scheme here, but maybe that's not like a rule there. That's why whenever it comes to international business, you really need to look into their information and make sure that it makes sense and that you're doing it correctly, because it's not your country. You can't do what you do there. You have to do what they're doing. You have to put forth the effort, and if you don't, you could end up paying a large settlement because of a emissions of fraud scheme or anything else. You could just do anything like that. But even like my marketing classes, we talk about knowing the different businesses and making sure that when you're talking to a different country that you know not only just like the background of what your company is, but also the background of knowing like if they're very religious, or if their thoughts on women, or their thoughts on certain like things. You have to know those things going into it, because you don't want to make somebody feel wrong, like feel bad about their beliefs or what they're doing, or think that it's wrong, even though we might not agree with it here in the US. But when you go somewhere else, you don't want to make a big mistake that could cause a lot of money by just not doing your research. And I think in this scenario, I think they probably knew what they were doing was wrong, but I think if they would have done more research, they would have understood the depth of the wrongdoings for sure. So I think that was very interesting to learn about, and definitely set a tone for the class and my knowing on international management, as well as I'm taking an international marketing class, so a global marketing class. So it'll definitely help with that, and I'll be able to understand more for both classes.